As Juanita said, my name is Alan David. I got a very unusual start in music. When I was 5 years old, my dad answered door-to-door salesman who sold accordion lessons. And so I started on accordion. And until I took a lesson in 3rd grade, we all took tests to see if we had any musical abilities. Somehow they found I had a little, and I chose the trombone. And when I was 16, I quit. And I quit playing for 20 years. I picked it up again when I started my spiritual life in a group in Buffalo. And I met, of all things, the accordion teacher that I had taken lessons from as a 5-year-old. And we started, he was in a little band and I joined the band. And that's really where I got into sound healing. Because what this band did was we played nursing homes. And we had 5 nursing homes. And we were awful. Just imagine how a trombone, accordion, and a saxophone would sound, especially when all 3 of us couldn't play. But as the band got a little better, the audience just enjoyed us that much more. And I watched as the people disappeared into the music, and people that couldn't speak to us were tapping their toes, were singing along. And what they found, and I got to hear a movie somewhere, called Alive Inside, which we're going to be showing here. What they have actually found is that by giving people with Alzheimer's or other types of dementia their actual music and playing it, they come out of dementia. For the time the music is in their ears. The movie starts with a gentleman who would not make a sound in 15 years. Whether it was speak or anything, he was singing along in tune to the music. That's the power of music. And everything is music. It's music to some people. That starts with a marching band. If you came home and you didn't hear the air conditioning, that silence is awful. You go to a plant and the guy's working, oh great, the machines aren't on, we're going to get paid to do nothing. The owner, that's music to their ears. The owner, man, I'm stuck. My orders are going to be late. It ain't music. But when those machines start up, and the guys go back to work grumbling, the owners count his money. Because that's music is theirs. Everything is music. There are people that say they hear rocks. Actually crystals. Because everything has a vibration. We vibrate, every one of us vibrates differently. That's how we usually meet the people we end up with. Our vibrations match. Relationships end when vibrations don't match. So I want da-da-da. Exactly. They figured out years ago that 3 notes would tell you what station. Bum, bum, bum. ABC. The first major television programs were variety shows. What did every variety show have? It had music that you recognized when the show came on, but it always had somebody singing. It always had somebody laughing. Laughter is an amazing, amazing oxytocin. And I know that when people are ready to watch their television show and they don't know it's on, if they're in the other room and they hear the theme song, they switch rooms because they don't want to miss anything. And how did TV become? TV started losing its popularity, especially the major channels. How did they get people to watch again? What shows did they put on? Comedies, but American Idol showed up.
America's Got Talent.
Dancing, America's Got Talent, Dancing with the Stars. Television watching went up 72% the first year of every of those shows. 72%. There were some classes I would have liked to have gotten 72%. I'm not kidding. The music is also powerful because it causes us to relax. And that's where the chimes that I played. How many people have gone to a gong bath? Or gone, it wasn't just, you just sort of melted into your seat? Same thing with singing bowls. The object is to get your heart to slow down and make you more comfortable. Rock music works the other way, it gets your heart pumping. Both are very valuable. If you want to dance, you're staying in the place. If the band stinks, you're not going to stay in the place. What's also very valuable that a lot of places have forgotten is silence. Old music, especially old blues, right at the end, went silent for a couple seconds and you were wondering what was coming next. Music now all runs into itself and it all sounds the same. But what made music very, very interesting for a while was the silence. When I was playing the chimes, at the end I let it ring so that it was silent and we were all ready to go. I'm a trombone player, as I said, and part of the reason I took up the trombone, I'm still trying to figure out. But what I liked is that the difficulty of tuning it. A lot of them have keys. The trombone, you have to find it. But the trombone also allows you to slide. So you can go anywhere you want. It's almost sensuous if played correctly. And a lot of sound healing goes after sensuousness because the music swirls. Gong music has actually been proved to go around a room in this manner. And the same thing with singing bowls. In fact, singing bowls are swirled this way. So the music goes around like that. And a singing bowl doing that, this is one of the toys we'll get to later. Just feel it as it goes, and it'll start. Today you're going to be tough. Just let this is considered a heart singing bowl. Usually people assume that they're the crystal ones. Just see where you feel this and listen to it swirl around the room. Now a lot of people, when they play singing bowls, they go for volume. What I don't believe in is that volume. Because in order for me to do healing on people, I have to be able to hear. And if the music that I'm hearing is too loud, I can't hear people's bodies. But they have found by playing loud, it gets people involved. That's why bars and stuff, the music is so darn loud that you can't think. Sounds better up here, interesting. I don't know if anybody heard the change in sound, but it actually changed pitch. I brought a few of my other toys with me. This is called the Thunder Tube. The little mini ones sound terrific. This is probably the least expensive sound healing toy you can find. It's about 13 bucks. This one's a little more. Sound healing and sound in general is not as cheap. Just imagine this at the end of a session. With sound healing, the reason I believe in subtle, and even that maybe you don't consider it subtle, but it's a heck of a lot better than the reason I go for the subtlety is when you're done with the session, I don't want people falling off the table. I want people comfortable because we're raising your vibration, we're not jarring it. Juanita said earlier that everything we think becomes a thing. And what it's been found is that every thought has a vibration. Musical vibrations go like this. So if you think a negative thought, the first place it goes is here. You think a positive thought, the vibration goes up, and it goes up, and the object. So how many people have an alarm clock to wake up to? Do you wake up to noise?
Children.
But that's negative and positive.
That's all they could do.
But that jarring noise, or if you wake up, and I realized I was doing this morning, I woke up to ESPN, and I'm sitting there listening to them arguing about, is $86 million enough to pay a quarterback? Well, in my opinion, that may not be the best way to start your day, so I put a musical on, and it goes something like, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning to you. Anybody who recognizes musicals, that's part of Singing in the Rain with, anyway. So what I'm trying to say is when you're waking up, if you wake up, it doesn't even have to be gentle music, but chances are music is going to be a lot more healthy for you than that jarring, ah. And even if you don't wake up the very second the music's on, because sometimes it's pretty nice to stay asleep to, it's going to keep you up here. Whereas with that jar, you're already starting down here. And if you hear the news, the Dow Jones has just dropped 173 points, the weather today is 114, how are you going to feel? Does anybody have any questions so far? Stunned silence.
Not a question, but Alan, we were watching a documentary on ramen restaurants in Japan, and there's this place where you go to eat there, you're not allowed to speak because the chef wants you to concentrate 100% on the food. So it's just the opposite. There's no music, nobody speaks. You just eat and say thank you and leave.
There is music. Silence is music.
Well, yeah.
You're also hearing the sounds of the food. When food's being cooked, your sensory organs, whichever one's working, are on overtime. The sound of bacon can be as delicious as the smell of bacon. The sound of that coffee machine, you know the smell's coming in a couple more seconds, but the sound of the coffee machine is usually, for most people that wake up, is usually a good thing. The same thing.
You said you can hear the energy of the body. How do you resonate that with the things that you do? Like when you hear somebody's energy, what do you... When
I'm working with a tuning fork, I either get a message, or as I put it on the body, around the body, it actually changes in my hand.
Oh, wow.
Or I will hear that the sound isn't right, and I'll pull it away before I use it. And the same thing is true, certain of these chimes, if I was doing a healing on somebody here, I would not play. With the exception of this guy here. And you probably noticed that I played it a lot. It just rings an amazing amount. It's also the frequency of the heart. It's a frequency of the original DNA. It's a frequency of the start of life. Nassim Haramein, who is today's version of Einstein, determined that 528 is the beginning of the Fibonacci sequence, which is fancy to say the beginning of life. And life is a spiral. And that's this pitch. And they say that if you work with this pitch enough, you don't even need anything else but this pitch. I don't necessarily agree, but that's okay. That's what he says.
What type of healings have you seen?
When I actually, had somebody who was going to lose an eye. She had had a brain tumor, and the brain tumor was still, they couldn't cut it out of her, the optical nerve without taking the whole eye out. So she was always in pain. And with the tuning forks, I was able to stop that pain. I had another woman who came to one of my talks, and I do a 2-hour talk about the tuning forks, and I wasn't really going to bring them up, but it worked out that way. And I put the tuning fork on her side, and she screamed. She was in that much pain, and I had never seen that before. I stuck with it a little bit, changing the pressure, and then I gave her a different tuning fork and said to work with it. And this one specific tuning fork was Archangel Raphael, which is the Archangel of Healing. By the end of the talk, she went home pain-free, and she played with it. I didn't do it. So music can be amazingly healing. There was a study done in Britain 14 years ago, and they just now came out with the results. Why they hung on to them for 14 years, I don't know. They found that if you listen to your music before surgery and during surgery and after surgery, you heal 30 to 40% times faster. Now they knew it 14 years ago. Why didn't they tell people? And it had to come from BBC, and it was an American study. They have also found that there have been remissions of cancer just by listening to meditation music. So if you are diagnosed with something that ain't so much fun, meditate, because you're raising your vibration. Not to mention that a lot of our disease is caused by stress. People are like this, especially nowadays. If you watch the news, there ain't much that's very good that's talked about. There's plenty they could, but there isn't much that they talk about. So if you're one of those people that watches the news or listens to sports, I would love to see them do a football. They did it once, a football game where there was no sound. You just watched the game. So you didn't hear them talking about this guy broke that, or that guy's cheating who, or somebody flattened out the footballs. 8 months, and they still haven't figured that one out. I don't get it. Did I answer your question? I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.